What's poppin', everybody? Stephen A. Smith just did a video talking about Steele. So if you guys don't know, Steele just did a settlement with ESPN. Then she like, look, I quit. I'm gone. I want to be able to speak about the things I want to speak about. And then she's going on like a podcast, sort of tell her side, her story, kick it a little bit, and she's going to be coming out with her own stuff sooner or later. But Stephen A. talked about it. I want to do a reaction video to it. We're going to go back and forth. Let me know y'all thoughts in the comments about it. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button to help out, and leave a comment that help push the video out to everybody. And I'm not going to probably play the whole thing. I might edit this because, you know, Stephen A. go into Stephen A. world and some takes and just go to La La Land. So I'm going to cover up his face so I won't get a copyright strike. Let's go.
The subject of this matter is a lady by the name of Mrs. Sage Steele. Sage Steele recently departed from ESPN. She filed a suit. She felt that her First Amendment rights were violated because she should have freedom of speech and the freedom to speak her mind. She was interviewed by a person that I consider to be outstanding at her job, who also has an outstanding podcast, Mrs. Megyn Kelly. I used to like her a lot when she was working on Fox News. I had the pleasure of working with her one particular day. She's a pro, and she did a hell of a job interviewing Sage Steele just the other day. And there's so many people that have been clamoring for me to talk about it, especially when they saw what Sage Steele said, because she said it about my present daytime employer, which is ESPN. I really shouldn't say daytime. It's all the time because I work for them in the morning doing First Take. I work for them in the evening.
My question is, why whenever somebody bring up ESPN, Stephen A. Smith got to go be the running slave? Oh, don't talk about mass. Now, how much money do Stephen A. get paid a year? Because I don't know. I might protect my employer if they pay me millions of dollars, because this kind of getting out of hand. Like every time somebody talk about the company, you got to say something. Let's see how much. Okay, this was okay. As of 2023, he earns $13 million per year. So if somebody paying you over $10 million, I don't like it, but I guess I can't complain too much because $10 million, they ain't even asking Stephen A. to do this. Y'all don't talk about my company now.
Evening time doing NBA Countdown. I work for them whenever they call me on Sports Center. I work for them when they want me to do boxing or UFC. I mean, damn. I mean, you know, I'm synonymous with the worldwide leader, and I'm proud of it, by the way. But she said when she departed, she wanted to exercise her First Amendment rights more freely. Her lawsuit accused ESPN of selective enforcement of their rules that bars news employees from commenting on politics and social issues. In a quote, she said, if we are allowing my peers to go on social media, much less on our own airwaves, saying things that have nothing to do with sports that are political, then I should be allowed on my personal time to give my opinion on my experiences, that there were different rules for me than everyone else. I don't necessarily, and in fairness, I reached out to Sage Steele to let her know that I don't necessarily vibe with her assertion that there were different rules for her than everybody else.
Okay, what's y'all thoughts about that? Do y'all believe they targeted her? And in my personal opinion, I would say yes, because I don't know if it's necessarily her. It was her stance. At the time, you couldn't talk about the C word, about that shot. If you brought it up, I was so terrified of losing my channel. I'm used to saying the C word instead of COVID, because as soon as I said COVID, I get flags all on my videos, and it was the biggest scam ever. So since she talked down on like, hey man, I ain't getting it, and now it's like she get targeted. So I don't think she was actually targeted. It was her stance on the C word end up messing her up. That's the only thing I got on that part.
Deny that she's very passionate about what she feels. She's not faking it. And she certainly had her examples to point to. And in fairness to her, I have to recognize that. You know, she feels the way that she felt. She was on Jay Cutler's podcast and she was talking about COVID. She was, She's just very, very outspoken. She's a relatively conservative individual. Her politics are conservative and what have you. She's passionate about it. And I don't necessarily fully agree with her politics. Here's what I will tell you about Sage Steele. She's a consummate professional. She cares about her performance. She is no slouch in front of the camera. She knows what she's doing. She's been a pro for decades. And there's a bigger subject to broach. And it's not about other people who are allowed to talk politics. Hell, I'm one of them. Okay? The reason why I tell her, and I would say to her, I didn't necessarily feel like the rules were different for her than it was for anybody else. The rules are different depending on the circumstances and the situation, which are analyzed and dissected on a case-by-case basis by ESPN. I would know because it happens to me all the time.
Okay. So Stephen A is one that talks about politics every single day on his show. That's what he do. And he's not getting fired from expressing his opinion. And she didn't do it on ESPN time. She did it on a podcast. The same thing he is doing. So she kind of makes sense when you say I'm being targeted because he can do it. But when what they say is cool when they do it, it ain't cool when I do it. So she's on to something right there. On to something. I give Sage Steele that one.
Certain issues are bigger than others. I say something about, Stephon Diggs is different than different than what I had to say about Shohei Ohtani. And the backlash that I received from about Shohei Ohtani caused a greater backlash. And the company is going to respond and react to that because when you have stockholders and shareholders, you have to be sensitive to all of those things. And to me, that's not foreign. When Adrian Peterson was being looked into for corporal punishment, the Vikings and the NFL didn't immediately suspend him or put him on some commissioner's list. But when advertisers and sponsors threatened to pull their dollars, all of a sudden, their tune was changed. When Ray Rice got into trouble by putting his hands on his then fiancée, and he was suspended for a couple of games, there was no uproar until the video came out. And all of a sudden, the backlash ended his football career. He put his hands on his fiancée in that elevator in Atlanta.
Ray Rice did completely get his career completely ruined after that. I don't hit on women. I don't condone it. That's what you get. Keep your hands off women. Keep your hands off women.
City, and Ray Rice has never played an NFL game again in his life. Different circumstances call for different actions and reactions, also different roles. You're a pundit on ESPN's First Take, paid to give your opinions. That's entirely different than being the host of SportsCenter. And there's a different responsibility that comes along with that. But that doesn't mean that her argument is to be summarily dismissed. I'm just saying you can look at it from a different lens. But ultimately, here's the only reason I brought this subject up. It wasn't really to talk about Sage Steele, other than to wish her nothing but the best. She knows I am a friend, and I'm always here to help her in any way that I can, because she's always been cool with me. And I'm going to always be cool with her. And that's just the way it's going to be. But it wasn't just to bring her up. And it wasn't to bring up ESPN at all. It's to bring up black conservatives. Because you do have a lot of people out there that hate on folks just because you happen to be black. And your politics, at least in some people's eyes, in many people's eyes, may not identify.
Oh my gosh, I can talk now. This is my conversation now. If y'all learn me, I'm a very debatable on religion, politics, life type of person. I ain't rich enough to speak my genuine mind on most things because I get canceled. But that is very interesting on black conservatives because black conservatives get such a negative stereotype, and I believe rightfully so, because of my time a black conservative was more of a sellout, Uncle Tom, bedwench type of individual that really looked down on black people and looked up on white people. That was my time growing up. Now I think it's transitioning into, yes, you can be black and not support Democrats and stuff. I hopped off the Democrat train after Obama. Voted for Obama. Last time I voted for Democrats. The first time he got in. Second time I'm like, I ain't like what he know. After that, ain't make no sense. Now I didn't never become conservative and vote for a Republican because most of them are just blatant racists. Now I don't like them. But I did just become a person that think for myself, because growing up, all you had was your parents like, hey, go vote Democrat. You gonna vote what your parents tell you to vote until you get old enough and learn what you want. And my thing is like, okay, I'm a dog. I'm a homeowner. What things, I'm working on being rich and wealthy. What things align with me? And like I tell my friends, most of, like, for example, money, I'm 100% conservative. I want to keep my money, love my money. Guns, I'm 100% conservative. I'm pro all of that. Want to come down on abortion rights, I'm straight Democrat. You can do what you want with your own body. Telling you that's dumb. So it's like, who's the candidate that roll with me? So that's a good point. What's y'all thoughts in the comments? Black people and white people. Be 100. What's y'all thoughts in the comments on that?
With your community and what your community feels your politics should be. Sage Steele had a white mother and a black father. She told her story. Go look up Megyn Kelly's interview. It was a fabulous interview with her. And because of her positions, because again, when you grow up in a household like that, there's a heightened level of sensitivity to all sides as opposed to just one. And because of that, and what it made her into as a woman, as a person, as an intellectual, because she is not dumb, you have a lot of people who have come at her with venom and vitriol. And you might have had some people in the workplace. Now, I'm here to tell you, there's a misnomer that ESPN is some liberal place. That is a lie. I know a bunch of conservatives that work at ESPN. I'm telling you what I know. But the reason why I bring that subject up is because I think at the end of the day, and I've said this publicly on several occasions, it's not applicable to just ESPN. It's to anybody. I think it's a mistake when a corporation tries to silence anybody. I think you let everybody speak. That way the company doesn't get blamed for the positions an individual takes. The individual has to be culpable for the words that we articulate and the impact that it has ultimately on us. If I say something and it ultimately costs ESPN dollars, and as a result, ESPN says you got to go, they're not saying I have to go because of my politics. They're saying I have to go because I compromise their bottom line. And I think that's the position all corporations should take, as opposed to trying to curtail or silence anybody because you think their individual words are going to be a reflection on the whole. It is not. When you let everybody speak, you just let everybody speak and you monitor the bottom line. And if they cost themselves or you, if they compromise your bottom line, they got to go. I understand that.
I don't think anybody could have said any better what Stephen A. Smith just said right there. If it compromised your bottom line, then there's a problem. If nobody have a problem with it, then there's no problem. That's the most realist thing possible. If nobody cared about the C-word situation, but their marketer people like, yo, we're trying to promote this agenda, we need you guys and your people to be on the team what we're trying to do. Come on, notifications, please. So that makes sense. If the people that's paying us is mad, we got to be mad at you. Stephen A., you are on to something on that. I completely agree with you.
And I think that ESPN has done a better job of understanding that, particularly as of late, along with various other businesses out there. And I think that Sage Steele is somebody that you're going to be hearing from in the very near future. I don't know if you'll like what you hear. I don't know if you will, but I suspect you'll listen. And that's really what it's all about. I wish her nothing but the best. And like I said, I spoke to her recently. She knows that I'm rooting for her to be all right and to be successful. I think overall I've known her for over 20 years. And we've had some disagreements from time to time, some fiery disagreements from time to time, especially with our politics. But she's a good person, heart's in the right place. She can be a bit fiery and all of that stuff. That's what makes her who she is.
Interesting. Very interesting. What is your thoughts about that? First, on the Sage Steele situation, there's so many thoughts because first he jumped on the, hey, don't talk about my company deal, relax. So you don't have to do that every time, Stephen A. But they paying me $10+ million, I might do it too. I don't know. He was right about the Sage Steele scenario. Now, I don't agree with, like, she was targeted because of what she was talking about. But when he explained the case by case, yeah, I don't think that had a full correlation. But at the end, he made completely sense. Where it's like, look, if it affect the money, then we got a problem with it. We don't got a problem with it unless they got a problem with it. And if the people give you backlash, then we all got a problem with it. So it makes sense. And when he talked about, can you be a black conservative? That's very, very interesting. A great conversation and topic because that's a whole different one. We'll talk about that later. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.